Welcome everybody back to the Overwatch League Atlanta homestand. That's right, we're live from Georgia, baby. We out here. It's pretty swampy, but it's been great fun so far. Mitch Leslie here with Matt Morello. Great to be back with you guys on Twitch.
Yeah, we're on Twitch today. I was like, we were on Twitch a little bit yesterday.
Okay,
for a bit,
mixed.
But no, now we're back full time Twitch today. No, it'll be a good game. We got Guangzhou going up against the Justice. I'm excited for both Widowmakers in this matchup. I think the Justice, we know what they are as a team right now. We ain't gonna really kind of lie to you. I mean, they're not great right now.
You know where they're at. You guys have been with us for most of this time, so you know what to expect.
The Charge looking good.
However, the Guangzhou Charge looking much better now in a meta that is involving some more of those DPS heroes. Nero's getting more runtime. We'll talk a little bit more about Happy later on, but this team is able to deliver some really good moments here, of course, and we throw back over the last couple of days, well, yesterday, should I say. It's only been a 2-day week. We kicked off with,
like it's been
I know. We got to see New York come out of the gates. I mean, we had some, great match there. Philly going up against the Washington Justice. That one ended up being a little bit closer than some people might have expected.
Yeah, Stratus was sick yesterday.
Stratus is getting a lot more of that DPS playtime, which is great to see.
Man. I mean, they were playing Some on the Sombra, and it just wasn't working out. And I think that's the biggest surprise of the day. The Charge versus the Dragons. The Charge able to take that and make it a play-in scenario with the Dragons versus Philly today. And then I know the Atlanta Reign, they took care of business against the Defiant. That was a really close game. And if you're Atlanta, you need to win that game. You come here, you play in front of the home crowd.
First home game, first win of the season, or the stage, should I say, for them as well. After what has been the most difficult stage for a team in the Overwatch League. Their opponent win percentage is like 0.68 or something, so very, very high. Obviously, I couldn't believe it was DeFran inside that
such a cool
outfit, by the way. Very, very great walkouts here. The home crowd really loving seeing the Atlanta Reign turn up here, but this is how the scores went yesterday in general. So New York looked strong, no surprise there. Florida showed us some good looks at the first half of that series, I think, kind of petered off a little bit. We'll see them again later today. And but we had a lot of fun covering the Atlanta Reign Defiant match. You would have heard a little bit of us if you were watching Twitch. Good fun, and Atlanta Reign really stepped up again in the second half of that series. A lot of teams at this homestand, Matt, are bringing new looks. A lot of roster mix-ups, but today this is where it's all happening. So we're here covering the Washington Justice versus the Guangzhou.
Get a good rivalry after this with Florida versus Atlanta. I mean, they have a long history in terms of sports, like big college football rivalry.
Right after that, New York versus Toronto. So you want to talk about those pre-existing rivalries, maybe in the meat sports? Well, we might have a chance to build them here.
I mean, New York sports compared to Toronto sports. I mean, Kawhi left Toronto, right? I mean, ain't nobody want to be in Toronto sports, right? We can take a look at
the Clippers now.
Talk about the Clippers. Man. We can take a look at the season standings. So you have the Titans, they've guaranteed top 6. NYXL and the Shock both guaranteed that top 12. They've guaranteed themselves at least the play-ins. So like Monty was saying in the previous series, if you fall in that 7 through 12 range, they're going to have a little bit of a play-in tournament to see who gets those final 2 spots for the season playoffs. So it's really about that push for the top 6. If you can end up, obviously, 7 through 12, you like your chances to try and fight your way in.
Yeah, that's right. It will still be difficult. Obviously, that will be our 12 very best teams. You can see the home team, the Atlanta Reign, have just managed to squeeze themselves into that one. But Stage 4 is going to be very interesting. We still have the Stage 3 playoffs to get through. But let's talk about today's matchup. Neither of these teams are going to really be a force in the Stage 3 playoffs. They've had a rough stage. I mean, right now we have the Washington Justice trying to stave off a 0-7 stage, but Guangzhou yesterday looking much better. The Widow match was incredible.
Yeah, the Widow match was really strong, and the Charge came into this weekend still with a chance to make the stage playoffs. Like, it was a long shot. Like, they would have needed a 4-0 Shanghai, some other stuff would have needed to happen. There was a chance they could have gotten in. Where this is a team, I think when you look at the Charge, it's like, well, like some teams you look and you're like, oh man, maybe they could like upgrade at this position or that position, or maybe, the synergy's not there.
To be made.
When you watch the Charge, you're like, man, they have so much talent all over the board, and like, they don't seem like super uncoordinated. Like, it just seems like they just got in a little bit of a rut when they got in that big losing streak. Tough to get out of. They lost like 24 maps.
So look, they didn't look great in the 3-3. We saw obviously Kip come in and try and bolster that lineup on the brig and played a couple different things. Here's Stage 4. I mean, this doesn't look easy for them at all. I mean, I see a bunch of matches that are very scary, especially in the middle part of that stage.
I mean, every team they play outside of Boston right now is in your top 12. Yep. So you're going to need to beat teams who are fighting for the playoffs to get into the playoffs.
You're going to need to beat teams that you shouldn't be winning against, statistically speaking. Yeah. Now, you think this looks hard for the Guangzhou Charge? In fairness, their first couple of stages were pretty good.
Rough as well.
Schedule-wise, but I mean, let's look at the main head-to-head for this match. Happy versus Corey. If we get to see that Widowmaker play, which we should, both teams are shifting over towards that style of bringing more DPS in. I think that's going to be a highlight. It's been said, I think it was Jake that was saying, he definitely thinks that Corey is the best Widowmaker in the world, the best in the Overwatch League.
I mean, that's a big statement. As Happy yesterday, we just saw how DM took care of Carpe in the previous match. Happy was able to deal with him yesterday on the Widowmaker, and I think today you're going to get a really, really strong Widowmaker battle between Happy and Corey. I think Corey has been the standout player for the Justice. I think you could also throw Sleepy in there since they've added him to the lineup. Happy, though, is that he's nuts on the Widow. I mean, even when, like, 3-3, triple tank, triple support was prominent, he was playing that Widow pretty often.
This guy, though, he's been workshopping that Widowmaker. Corey has it on lock.
What kind of intro is that?
I don't know, bro. He was not as bad as Shadowburn's intros, to be fair. Well, good or bad, it really depends on the person.
It's like a really slow 180.
But it was obviously, we've seen a ton of Corey this season. No one really thought too much about him when we saw him play the Zarya back with 3-3 was very much in vogue. The shift towards Widowmaker, though, has definitely increased his stock as a player. A lot of his peers are out there, like I mentioned before, saying that he's one of the very best here. But if that was enough, the Justice would have won much more of their games. It takes more than just a good Widowmaker to get you through.
Yeah, I mean, they've had a lot of problems in the front line. They had some trouble in the back line. They're starting to get things right, though, now.
That's right, and we're going to be bringing out the teams in just a moment as they hit the stage, and they're going to be ready to get this party started. And we'll be sat here and see them walk out. Aussies, your Washington Justice.
Stratus did some like ninja move to the camera that looked ridiculous.
You're trying to dodge out the way.
Well, he did like some kind of like John Jones spinning elbow type of thing, like real slow.
Mr. Steal Your Girl, Stratus on the starting lineup here.
That was awesome.
A DPS player, we saw him play a lot for NRG in Contenders. And the Justice snapped him up as a young, fiery prospect.
I think it's awesome you get like all these teams here at the homestand playing in front of like a really large crowd. I mean, outside of the teams, like obviously the Blizzard Arena, we have a bunch of players in there, but I think you get a lot of different things in there. Let's get Guangzhou out on the stage. Let's bring them on out. But it's good to have both of these teams get to play in front of this big, loud audience.
That's right. Guangzhou be loving it. Pretty quiet, pretty quiet season for them in general. Again, they spent a lot of time sort of prior to Season 2 over at their facility in China, in Guangzhou. A lot of the Western players or the Korean players had to adjust to life out there, and they're just a really tight-knit team. That's what they keep telling us. They sort of, when it first began, they were a little bit unsure, and obviously there were 3 languages that were predominantly spoke amongst them, but they're very much cohesive force now.
They have big-time players. Every position, though. Happy, we showed his highlights on the Widowmaker. They bring in Nero as another really strong DPS player. Shu has done some super awesome things in the flex support role. And Hotba, I mean, he's the jack of all trades, right? He plays the off tank. We see him pick up.
But he wants to be the king. He gets out there saying, "No, I think I'm the best Sombra in the league."
Corey's waving across at Happy.
I'm sure they know they're on camera. Sometimes the coaches sit in the dugouts and they whisper, "Hey, you're on camera. Do something funny." Corey, though, I mean, he dominated Linksa when it was the Justice versus the Outlaws on quite a few of those maps in the Widow matchup. Yeah. This guy just seems to be potentially the best counter sniper in the league. Happy just got to do nasty things, though, to DM yesterday.
That was wild. That series that we casted with Houston on Washington, I'm just thinking back to it and how good Corey was, and like they still lose that.
That's what I'm saying. It takes more than that sick, nasty Widow play to get you through. Here's your map set, presented to you by Toyota. Obviously a 4-map series, and you guys aren't ESPN, you know what I'm talking about. Nepal is coming up for our first.
Yeah, it'll be Nepal, Volskaya, Eichenwald, and Gibraltar. So some pretty good damage dealer maps in this set. You get Nepal to kick things off. Volskaya in map number 2 is Nepal, a charge 3-1 on this map. So a good map win percentage here. We'll see what they decide to roll out with at the beginning. Something interesting about Happy's Widowmaker as well. I know a bunch of, I mean, I play a ton of Widowmaker. We've seen Brandon attempt to play a ton of Widowmaker. He plays with his scope settings on toggle,
not hold,
which is really weird. Like usually, like if you're at home, like you hold your alternate fire button to scope down sight.
Yep.
He just taps it, it scopes it.
For some players, they don't like having the extra pressure, or they don't like constricting the mouse while they're trying to take the shot. Okay. So someone can throw them off. I know a lot of players who use the toggle in fact in Call of Duty 4. But we're on board with Stratus to start off the fight. Farah definitely a pick that he showed us a lot during Contenders. Corey's Widow, we've been asking for it. We're going to have the matchup we're looking for. Corey getting accosted, though, as Nero trying to pressure him without getting too close. He's definitely going to be trying to break line of sight as Stratus is around this middle tower.
A lot of teams, you see the Justice at the bottom, running a lot of far wrecking ball. As Arc will get taken out here by Happy at the beginning. Corey answers back with one on the shoe. So both Widows taking out a player at the beginning, but a lot of teams going for this far wrecking ball setup.
Oh, Happy misses opportunity there to reveal Ardo. We managed to get away in stealth for the charge, get the point. Stratus goes down as Hopper was able just to clip him. And the charge will have a chance now to get more entrenched. Happy to set up and try and spot out Corey as the Justice make their next push.
In the area.
See how the Justice decide to make that next push. I know playing the Pharah against a Widow like Happy, very difficult, especially on the attacking end. You don't have the opportunity to kind of hide around the central structure where the control point is. So it'll be very difficult for Stratus to get in, get a good line of sight without getting kicked.
Happy playing pretty safe. He's sitting a long way back. He knows he's going to get pressured out by Giannis. He's put to sleep in midair, though. Happy gets a free headshot on him, but he wasn't looking for Stratus. 2 for the Pharah, and the Washington Justice now might have a chance to break in. That's 3. And the young blood spills and is spilled. Stratus will be pleased with that one. Hotbar can only try and charge up that EMP. As a waves, Hopper goes off into the sunset.
I mean, you saw a little bit from Happy's POV, like you saw where Stratus was playing, like he was able to get up to this area by the control point a little bit lower, and then he got like a direct hit right onto Shu. He gets right up in Happy's face as Corey will pop the sight. So everybody has vision here for the Washington Justice. Happy will pop hit. So the charge will have it for a little bit longer here.
Attempted capture here by Guangzhou as they move up. Giannis is required to move back. Nanabu's on a Stratus here. One more shot would get Happy. Just a splash. Happy thought he could try and challenge, but I don't know if even a headshot would have claimed Stratus there. With Hotbar going down now, Washington Justice look good to remain in control. It was a hack on towards Rio, and there's not a thing he could do about it.
And this is the thing with the Justice, like, you know, last year when we had some teams that were struggling, like you can really tell like why. Like it was really like obvious why they were struggling. Like the Justice though, over the last, like I would say like last like 2-3 weeks, they've had some really good moments as they've started to experiment more with different compositions. They bring in Stratus now. They're starting to look much better.
We'll discuss this a bit more at length a little bit later on. Sleepy taken down. Corey about able to get up onto the high ground, and Nero will be looking for a chance to get a barrage here, probably just to hit the support. This is a cash. If he can get around the corner, Nero, he did see the Venom Mine in the way, so he doesn't commit to trying to take that fight now onto the point. He's happy looking. He'll move a little bit closer here. Guangzhou had to make a move. They had to make a play in just a moment. Nero wrap around. Happy sitting back, and they can't get in the Justice. Guangzhou able to retake.
Yeah, but the Justice have a lot of ultimates here, though. They have their EMP, they have a rocket barrage, and they're going to have the minefield. Sleepy should be able to build up towards a nano really quick, so maybe you can get the nano on a Stratus.
Finally, it feels like finally Ardo has an EMP here. Oh, let it go! Catches 3, and more importantly, gets Chara and Nero. They're forced to ground themselves, and Giannis was there to catch them. The minefield with the finish, and Corey got Shu. Giannis with 3 in the fight. And the Justice are in a good position now to take the round away. They're back in control at 80% and counting.
Yeah, it was a really nice pile driver set up there by Giannis, and then the minefield comes out. The EMP from Otto is good. They have a nano boost to use here onto the Pharah. Like I was mentioning, Corey's going to have sights as well, so you're going to be able to set this up picture perfectly.
Time's ticking, 95% counting. Corey finds the shots enough to give him that infra sight, which is a huge bonus to the Justice. Stratus, he thought about going for the barrage there. He got the nano boost again. It's just to keep him alive while he uses that ultimate. Otherwise, it's rescue to respawn. Happy's in trouble though. He's getting chased with a hack. So timely. Happy's able to take the head off Stratus, who was looking for such an important kill. Now the charge, they've dealt with such a threat. They can focus on the point, and this is where they need to retake it. It's looking good. Nero finds 2. Giannis with the pile driver, but that's all she wrote for the Justice. When the charge, get back in the driver's seat at the crucial moment.
That's a heads-up play by Hotba. You know, usually the flex support, flex tank for this team does a nice job getting on the Sabra back, helping Happy. They get the hack onto the Pharah. So, ooh, he actually spots Otto here for a quick second. They know where Otto is now.
Otto will need to get in position though. It's unlikely he really gets an EMP within the next couple of moments. And Shu's down already. The charge have lost their honor. This could be nasty. Stratus now going to go for the power play. It's a bit risky, but it still works out. It turns heads in his direction, and Corey's able to find 2. Nero back, Chara, bit of a risky resurrect, but he gets it. Hotbar back into the fray now, but Sleepy chimes in from the periphery. Chara's down. No more resurrects now, but Ark had one for Stratus. The Justice are up in numbers, but they need to converge on the point here. Corey's going to work his way in from that left-hand side, but Giannis is down. Nero removes him, and there is a barrage available, but Stratus has gone missing. He has no chance to use that ultimate now onto the point. Goes Nero, nano boost, barrage, you name it, he's got it. Sleepy goes down, the charge move in, and they are looking good to set this up. It was just Ardo. There's the flip. He's got a challenge, but there ain't no time left. What a way to kick off this map, this series. The charge take the first round on the pole.
And Chara gets the res onto Hotba there and basically gives up his life, but Hotba will stay alive long enough. But Shu never actually kind of re-enters like the fighting area. He kind of sits in the choke and everybody plays behind the pillar on the point and they're able to just get all of that healing. And they never did a nice job like pressuring down Rio, getting them to have to commit to a fight. So they're able to hold on long enough coming into this point for the charge. They'll run double sniper, Arisa Diva with a Zen Lucio. Usually Zen Lucio like really good with like a dive combination. This time playing it with the double snipers.
No Roadhog for the charge, notably. Yeah. So we'll see how that goes for their shield pressure.
They go Widow now, so just the Lucio for the speed boost. The Mercy.
Just to get them out of the gates, switch off. Again, plenty of Widow play. We expected that from these two teams, and honestly, it's been a pretty even match here. Two very dynamic individuals. Happy pushing up. So the Justice are trying to outmaneuver here. They're pushing around that right-hand side. We've seen this by a couple of teams.
Later.
Oh, no. They've lost Rio. They've lost their anchor down to the point. Nothing that Guangzhou Charge can do here unless they walk into a hail of arrows and bullets.
And I like this setup for the Justice. You keep the Pharaoh, which is, I think gives a lot of teams trouble, just with like the snipers, like having to like kind of look for the other sniper and then up in the sky. And you get Sleepy on the Roadhog. Roadhog Arisa, just a classic tank combination here on this point.
Quickly tending to Giannis's wounds, his Arc. They need that Arisa to be full health. Hook connects. Oh! As the hooker gets hooked in. Sleepy drawn in by that Hulk. Corey sitting very safely back in the corner there, trying to go for the Hulk and hook combo, but Sleepy not able to coordinate. Back to the point now. The Justice can chill. It's up to the charge, really, to try and force an engagement here.
And the charge with air holds, they're really just trying to get like some storm arrows, Zenyatta volley of orbs, or maybe like a happy headshot into it. But when you're just holding like the Arisa or the Roadhog, you're not really getting much.
Look at that very safe positioning. Shu goes down, but Ardo is just chilling by that awning on that high ground. Between him and Corey, they cover a heck of a lot of area on this point. Having to use a resurrect there for Shu, which is kind of risky enough in and of itself. Now Corey does have infrasight here, but he knows his opposite arm is not looking. There goes Rio's head, though.
I just don't know what value, if you're the charge, you're getting out of this Zenyatta in this instance. Like, I guess you could Harmony Orb like Hotba or Rio, right? But like, how can you poke out and do damage when you're playing against a Arisa Roadhog combination who can halt hook? You're playing against two snipers, and you're playing against the Pharah. Like, what are you getting with the Zenyatta right now? I just feel like it's a really vulnerable target.
Dragon Strike here. It's not a very mobile team. The Guangzhou Charge, and they've lost Shu to the Dragon.
But like, even Transcendence, what is Transcendence saving you here from? Like, there's no Dragon. Yeah, but like, just get out of the way. Like, just move. Like,
back to the point. It's 94% for the Justice, though, and the Charge have got a lot of work to do. They'll move up tentatively here with Rio's Arisa. It was a Hulk, and then a whole hog from Sleepy. This is going to be nasty. There's nothing Rio can do. He actually fortified, so he's taking even more damage from the whole hog because he's not being pushed back by it. You want that ultimate to displace you, but the charge couldn't afford it at that moment, and Ardo chimes in. It's two with the barrage, and this one should be all locked up. This one is going to go to its third round.
The Justice come out with a really strong composition. The charge, they do not counter it whatsoever. They're not even able to get close to the point.
Do not want to fortify when you're right in front of a whole hog. You will die very fast. Even with the damage reduction that Arisa has, that ultimate from Roadhog does a filthy amount of damage. The only reason why it's not considered broken is because it pushes people away, so they're not taking max damage at all times, just the first tick. I mean, he had to get on the point, so he doesn't want to get knocked away, of course, but it's kind of a lose-lose for Rio there.
So it looks like the charge come out here potentially with a triple tank, triple support. Something a little bit more It's like what you've seen through the Overwatch League thus far. So Justice, they'll come out with the Wrecking Ball Pharah composition auto on the Sombra. So I think what you'll see is, it looks like the Charge already. They're going to go back to the Swan and swap this up. If the Justice played damage dealers, the Charge, they love to play damage dealers, so they may as well opt into it. So yeah, they're going to opt into this full on. So
they don't want to play a Reinhardt-based comp into this anyway.
Interesting.
What do you make of this?
Roadhog, D.Va.
Still triple tank with a Sombra.
Triple tank with a Sombra. So, I mean, the Roadhog is in play because you can take a lot of just area on the point. Does get hit with a biotic grenade, though, so Sleepy does connect with that, and Nero able to stay alive through it. The Roadhog really good against the Wrecking Ball in close quarters. Like, the Wrecking Ball tries to get on the point.
Sombra and Roadhog.
Yes. Right.
Completely shut down that Wrecking Ball generally.
Yeah, look at that.
Stratus, though. Look at this. This is such a durable composition, and it still has a lot of threats. The hook's a threat.
I mean, as the only tank on the point, like, Giannis can't go in, and he gets hooked. He uses the adaptive shield of Wrecking Ball. He just has to roll away. You have no point pressure.
You get CC locked if you're Giannis here. Get hacked into hooked or hooked into hacked. It doesn't matter what the order is. You just can't do anything while that occurs.
See, why teams don't play Roadhog like against this type of comp like more often is because he's just an ultimate battery.
Yep.
Like, you're just gonna farm up ults.
I mean, look at the Justice though. Like, they may have lost that fight there, but they are getting very close. Especially someone like Ardo can pretty safely just shoot it at the Roadhog. Especially once the hook's down, there's nothing to worry about. You can always translocate out. You think you're gonna get hooked. Ah, shoot. That's ambitious. That's very ambitious. He wanted a challenge. You could see the look on his face. He knew maybe he was better off, operating on discretion. Barrage here for Stratus, just as happy gets D-Mech. The timing was good. He knew what he was looking for. And Giannis is able to deal with Chara elsewhere. The Justice now looking good to try and rotate back in, and I don't really think Rio's going anywhere. No.
I think if you're the Charge, like, I also wonder, like, where is the Lucio coming into play? Like, if your game plan is to just kind of, like, dive targets and whatnot with, like, the Winston, the D.Va, and the Sombra, like, you would have been almost better to have the Zen in on this one.
Sure.
In this case.
Usually Sombra takes the place of a tank, not added on next to them.
Your support has arrived.
Well, Hopper's probably just looking to try and neutralize the Pharah Mercy combo with an EMP when that comes around. Guangzhou have a lot to work with here, and that was a good lead. Here's the EMP coming through. This time actually came from the Washington Justice, though. Hopper's affected, but more importantly, Rio and Happy are. Stratus here just trying to get some work done, but Arc has gone down in this fight. I don't think Stratus can do too much more for the time being here. The Charge didn't have to use a lot of ultimates, but both their support ultimates were committed here. The retake, the fight continues. They'll get a stagger as well, and Guangzhou have got to be pleased with this outcome.
And Happy is forced to use self-destruct to remax. So 3 ultimates in that fight. They used the nano boost on Rio as he dives into the backline, and he's able to do a Corey who is playing Widowmaker. We're going to get to see some Tracer play here.
All right.
I mean, you can really farm that pulse bomb up against the Roadhog. You do have to be very careful, though, trying to dive this target.
Hopper, as we mentioned beforehand, decides his target. Oh, very clever, actually. Getting interrupted there by Corey's Tracer damage. Oh, but he catches Stratus on the way down. This is kind of falling apart for the Washington Justice. A very critical juncture for them, and they're losing players before the fight even begins. They get Chara at the very least, but what will they have to pay? Giannis trying to skitter away, and he's Wrecking Ball, so he is able to abscond. That EMP, the Justice know they're walking into a map.
He's gonna touch. Giannis gets in the point. He's getting whole hog.
Yeah, whole hog.
Live long.
They've lost Giannis now. What do the Justice have to work with? Their pivot point is missing. Corey trying to challenge. It's an EMP immediately from Hot, but there's no way that Corey was going to be able to recall out of that fight. Rio to the high ground, and there it is. The Charge get it done. They wrap it up quite nicely in that last round, Matt. It looked like the Justice just lost their focus.
It's a really interesting comp from the Charge there. They bring the Roadhog into the mix to get some point control. We'll be back with map number 2 after this.
The Overwatch League is powered by Intel. Game, record, stream without compromise on Intel Core i7. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.
I started watching some streams of the pros, and the pros were amazing. And one of the biggest guys I saw was awesome was Hydration. He was part of the Gladiators.
Suddenly I'm at every game, and
the beautiful LEDs, the cheers of the crowd.
It shields up. It's thunderous applause. It's roaring in the arena. It's a lot of clap, clap, stomp, stomp. You just kind of get sucked into it.
And I've been hooked ever since.
That's right, everybody. Last year it was Brooklyn where we captured history. This year it's going to be Philadelphia. East Coast, excuse me, getting some mad love lately. And speaking of which, we're here live, of course, from Atlanta. But the grand finals is happening in Philly later this year. Get your tickets now, fam.
It's going to be awesome. You don't want to miss it.
It's going to be
so
lit.
Click the link on the bottom.
That's right. This one down here.
Type that one in.
Not that one.
Go get a ticket.
This is something else now.
I don't know.
I can't see it because I have to look over there.
Yeah. But hey, really good first map though for the Charge. I thought they played really well in the last point of Nepal. They were able to use a Roadhog composition really well. Just kind of hold serve on the point.
Yeah, it was.
Make a play.
I guess it was a dive comp where they just forego the potential Genji. Some teams might have a Genji there and they take the Roadhog instead. So it's not that out of the ordinary. Just a bit weird to see Sombra with 3 tanks.
It was really good against the Wrecking Ball, which I think the Justice were putting to good use. We do have some subs coming in for Sansum, come in for Stratus, so it tells me they want to play some more Diva here in the next match.
Yeah, no doubt about it. That's only one of the substitutions. Sansum obviously very much locked down in that Diva role. Kind of indicates to you that maybe they forego Zai instead. Hyonu comes back in. We haven't seen Hyonu for quite some time. He'll come back in, mostly known from at least our perspective as the Lucio player. So he's getting his shot here and out here at the homestand.
Well, I mean, when Arc was on NYXL, and he was getting a lot of playtime way back then, it was really for his Mercy play, and then they would start to bring in Animo for some more Lucio play. So maybe we'll see the same thing kind of develop here with the Washington Justice as time goes on, things develop with the meta.
And of course, Hyoni, the third of the main supports this team has shown this year, if you count Farsix there. So we've seen a couple games from him, mostly towards the start of the year. He's in now, and Volskaya is going to be our second map in this series. I mean, I've been impressed, to be honest, with the Justice on Volskaya. I think they really gave a good account of themselves against the Houston Outlaws last week. Adu looked very good on the Hanzo. Their defense, they challenged well. They really stretched that map out to, I guess, the fullest.
I mean, this is where we saw Corey play really well on Widowmaker. He was able to pop off against Linkser. As he mentioned, against that Houston Outlaws team, they do not win the map against the Outlaws, but they looked very strong.
It goes to the wire.
Yeah, it's very close, as we'll have the Justice on defense here at the beginning. So they have to not play a Winston-based defense. They play Wrecking Ball Diva on defense.
What do you think about this as opposed to the Winston-based defense? Wrecking Ball just has the more durability and escape, right?
Yeah, I think Winston, though, just really good to access that high ground quick, really good to jump on some of the damage dealers. So I think Wrecking Ball, you can do some of the same. I just think the maps, usually it's a little bit easier to play Wrecking Ball on the offensive side with a lot of these maps.
Out of the gates is the Guangzhou Charge on the offense. They're going to have the Sombra still for Hotbar. He said he really wants to be the best, or at least he believes he is now. Double sniper with the Wrecking Ball. But both teams with the Wrecking Ball, but Guangzhou may make a change here. Nero switching. Despite the fact, I mean, this is interesting, right? You switch voluntarily the far end into what you know will be a double sniper. Set up, don't matter though. That'll get resurrected, ideally by Hyonu.
It does.
Happy.
A little bit of a warning shot there.
Don't you forget, fam, who you up against. Happy using the grappling hook there just to get across the gap. Feels up against an Orisa composition. That's even more necessary because of Holt, but he's just doing it to be safe. He knows he's up against Corey. You can definitely pick in such a small interval. Pile driver there, high ground. Arno and Corey, the double sniper strike for the Justice to the Charge. Already been silenced. Happy might look for an exit kill and then try and get out. It gets a bit awkward from here. He'll be chased down. The rest of the Justice will push out.
Yeah, the Tadbot may have been exposed up on the high ground. It becomes like a cross map with a Sombra kill as the players of the Justice, they go in, they finish them off as Giannis gets hacked here, just has to hide. He'll get a bunch of healing, but in a map like this, with the way it works, the compositions we're seeing, you're not going to hit like a fat EMP. I mean, potentially, if they don't play on the point.
You're literally just trying to
playing around snipers, yeah. I mean, you're playing around the snipers here.
Nero down, though. Again, the Justice as snipers. I mean, this team becomes a defensive monster with this setup, but they can do the same on offense if they can find the picks. So Happy needs to start chiming in, find some impactful opening kills. See that Rio and Hotbar have gone together to try and flank around the backside of the Justice and keep Corey's head turned. But if they can't remove this threat, there's no point. Sansum is standing right there, the big brother.
And he kind of has to with some players that are behind enemy lines, right? I mean, you can't just leave Corey alone. He'll get jumped on rather quickly.
Like this?
Yeah. But look at how many resources they have to dedicate towards Corey now. This allows the rest of the team to try and move through the choke.
Oh, Hotbar trying to go for the hack there. Happy down to the pile driver.
He's a nano.
Nano boost for Giannis here. He's hacked, but it don't really matter. He's just there to soak damage to the rest of his team. can follow up on the kills. Rio will get away here. Unlikely that Giannis can follow, but the Justice look very well drilled at this defense so far. But what makes them look so good is that they're constantly fighting 6v5s and 6v4s.
So I like this change for the Charge. Just go with an all-out dive here. So they'll bring in a Lucio, Genji, Tracer combination to go with the other 3 heroes that they currently have. So they'll be able to dive really aggressively, you know, use that speed boost, the Genji, Tracer, the
big nod of respect for the snipers. That's the EMP though. Happy's able to get in on Ado. There's more snipers still alive, but Johnny's in trouble. He's hacked and Nero's looking for it. He gets the melee, but there's more to be done. Sleepy down to Rio and just a small switch. A change up, and the Guangzhou Giants come up with the right answer.
And that's where, you know, the Justice, you would have liked to have Winston for the purpose of, you know, like in terms of even a dive or counter dive of your own, right? Just being able to put down
pressure down Shu or someone similar.
And then also just the damage that goes down onto everybody. It's not a ton, but it's enough to just add up. As Sansam now will play Brig, so you'll have 3 supports with Brig on a Mercy here. Solo tanking with the Wrecking Ball with double sniper on deep.
So the double snipers still need to do a lot of work because the Justice don't have very impressive support ultimates.
And I mean, they don't have a ton of damage anywhere else.
There's no AoE, there's no Transcendence, there's no sound barrier here. So the Justice have a lot of single target effects with their ultimates. Outside, of course, of the rally, which will give some healing. A Dragon Strike, though, much Ado about nothing on that one.
And the Charge changed to like a Sombra Ghost, so a Sombra version of like triple tank, triple support. You just sub out one of the tanks for the Sombra.
Corey can still be just as effective when he's hacked. It's just the grappling hook he can't use, so he stands and fights. And he gets his revenge. Hopper thought he would get away, but Corey had enough space there. Looks like Rio wasn't able to pressure him enough. Happens in trouble, a headshot already. That shield's going to be broken in a matter of moments here. And then the Zai will be out of the picture. How does Corey find the head there? Ado chiming in as well, and again, it's the snipers who stand.
That is nuts. Like, you can tell, I love when we catch that from, like, his POV, like, in the first person. Like, just how much is happening on his screen. Like, he nails, like, Hotbow with 1 headshot. Then he gets onto the point. He's getting pressured by the Winston. There's, like, colors flying all over the place.
Right.
Still has enough to line up the Zarya and, like, hits her once, then gets another shot in.
Corey's like, shh, guys, I'm just pumping up my contract renegotiations for the off-season. Just hold on 1 sec. Bam, hit some heads. So ultimate-wise, the Justice know a lot. Ado having switched to Pharah now.
This gives him the extra damage.
Yeah, and pretty reasonable as well. Corey can find a headshot. Ado can finish or vice versa.
That
That's the MP on no one. Yeah, there was nobody affected by that.
Nobody's home for that one.
Oh, hot bar. I hate to see it. Rio's still able to get, Rio's still able to get 2 kills. The nano boost goes a long way to making sure Rio actually sticks to his targets there. Sansam has brought back into the fight, so the Brigitte has returned. Rio going hunting for Corey. I mean, they have let this Winston. Where's the peel? No one's really turned their head to deal with Rio at all. Looks like the Justice are just trying to focus down.
Don't have anyone.
Sansam removed once more. He was up and now he's down. Over the top, Tionu does have, of course, a Valkyrie. With Shu falling to Ado here, a lot of healing taken away. Now the Charge is starting to run out of that staying power, and who's dealing with Ado? Both teams have these threats that are very difficult for one another to answer. And now a sound barrier for the Guangzhou Charge, but that'll run out pretty quickly. And Sleepy already got the better of Rio. Chara hit with a biotic grenade. Sleepy still continuing to have an impact late in the fight. And Corey thought about cleaning up. Happy punishing in there. It was still a very charged up Zarya. Happy able to get away, and the rest of the Charge are already streaming back in. Corey had to be rezzed.
Yes, the sound barrier is trying to come down from Chara, maybe to protect Shu, keep him alive as well, and Shu drops. Sound barrier goes down, they lose Rio, they have to just back out. So you really get nothing out of sound barrier.
Oh, get on the Zarya, man.
Corey, 2 more headshots. As he had just switched over to Tracer to try and get back onto the point. Now goes back to the Widow. Takes out Chara as well.
Hey, Hotbar finally gets a good EMP, but the Charge actually do worse in the fight where he connects the big EMP. Last time it was also Rio getting a nano boost.
I think the Charge,
oh my
it's
God.
not really a set of panic, but it's just like, you know that you have only 1:20 on the clock. You got some of these ultimates. You're just trying to get that one last tick. I mean, they do make good progress on the point.
So Corey, don't let him take that +1 option, bro. Free agency, baby. This guy looking insane. Ado over the top. A barrage here will be brutal, but there is, of course, Hotbar's Diva now to contend with. He switched off the Sombra. That's a pile driver minefield coming out there from Giannis on the high ground. The Charge are quite split. They've sent Rio again on a solo mission into the back line here to try and find kills. This time, though, it's been even less successful than the last. He does get a nano boost, but that Primal's about to run out. He's going to have a little bit less mobility and jump frequency. And they've lost Chara.
Yeah, Sunsum goes there to help some of his supports on the break, so keeps them alive as this also allows Corey to get an angle. But Rio's still alive here. They've killed, but they haven't really got them.
Solo grab for Giannis, though. That's pretty reasonable use of that ultimate to lock down the Wrecking Ball. Guangzhou Charge looking getting close now, and that Resurrect looks like it was interrupted. Johnny couldn't do much about it. The Valkyrie was there, but he was removed of the fight. The Charge do get over the line here. It took him quite some time, and interesting that Guangzhou try and use Rio as that solo threat, send him in deep, and they're hoping to get as much value as they can out of that Winston. Whether it's Primal Rage or Nano Boost given to him, they eventually break through, but the Justice have to be pleased with that. It's a very small time bank, just 19 seconds for the Charge.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
And welcome back to our Atlanta homestand coverage live on Twitch TV. I'm Mitch Leslie with Matt Morello when we are into the second half of Volskaya Industries. Guangzhou Charge with 19 seconds left in the bank after their attack.
Yeah, they complete the map with some time left over, so that's always the scenario you'd like to be in here on Assault. We'll see what the Justice decide to do on offense. Is you could play, you know, the Ashe, which they've selected right now. They're going to switch things up to go over to Far. Interesting little jump spot there from Happy to get the little roof slide down.
Yeah, all the way towards Spawn. Probably not an angle that you're expecting until you get hit by the shot, and then you never make the same mistake again. Corey, though, again, a cheeky air shot is just an easy way of circumventing a lot of the trading here. If Corey can find a pick and it's, you know, in the position that's hard to resurrect, then it's go time. Both teams at Mercies, though, so that's unlikely.
Guangzhou plays the Wrecking Ball in defense, but instead of playing double sniper, they play Happy as the lone sniper, the Mercy pocket for him. And they play two flanking damage dealers with Sombra and Tracer. So they're going to be able to put a lot of pressure on the opposing team.
There it is, Rio. getting rid of Giannis there. Took a lot of damage from the snipers at range. Rio's able to engage the enemy main tank in such a wide open position. The sight lines are so good for his sniper.
And if you're the Justice, you can't just try and figure out where Happy is and decide to push him, because Shu is also healing up all of these flankers from afar. So you have to deal with the Tracer or the Sombra and even the Wrecking Ball in some capacity in your backline. It's just, you're not able to deal with it with this comp right now. That's why you see Otto, he switches over to Tracer himself.
Infrasight already up for Happy. We're only about 1 minute and 20 seconds in, so the timing is good. And Nero and Hopper just having a discussion as they wait. Two very slippery damage dealers here, and the Justice will be hard pressed to track them as the fights break down a bit more. There's a pulse bomb here for Nero when he thought about it. But he saw his quarry roll away with that adaptive shield, and Giannis would have been able to withstand the blast. Again, Happy was hoping for a quiet 1v1 against Corey until Giannis pops up.
But Giannis knows if he goes in onto Happy on the backline, and all of these flankers are just going to dive his backline, and they have no chance.
Mutually assured dive. Ooh, Otto takes down Rio, though. That might be the opener. I don't know how easy that's going to be to resurrect here. It's even possible.
Gonna try it.
Gets him back up. The sleep on Giannis really allows for that. He's an EMP connecting onto 5. Connie was able to get the Valkyrie, but healing's great. Not so great, though, if the rest of your team can't actually use any of their abilities, so Guangzhou can solidify here. Corey is down. The sniper presence from Washington neutralized, and they can now clean up the fight. It's a matter of dealing with Otto, and Happy catches him on his way down the stairs.
And that's a huge res that comes through from Chara. And it's also you look, I mean, they're so busy trying to deal with some players on the point. They come in with a big EMP, Hopper lands out one. They never make a play for Shu. And he can just sit back on Ana. He is so strong in that flex support role that if you just let him kind of hang out, do what he wants, he's kind of like an unsung hero for this team in a way.
Corey looking for an angle. He's going to take the low ground here, so he's going to try and surprise Happy. It's a little bit of an off angle with Widow. He gets Shu, though. Brilliant stuff. EMP. Good connection onto the rest of the Guangzhou charge. They've already pulled out of this fight, though. The Justice have struck a multiple blow so early. Rio being down, Corey now realizes he has so much space. No Wrecking Ball to reach him. Nero maybe could, but he's got his hands tied here on the point, trying to deal with the bulk of the Justice's lineup. And yet they're not really pressuring the point map. They're just starting to move up now.
I wasn't sure if they could res it. They do get the res, but Giannis gives himself up in the fight, and Nero recalling right back into the minefield. You hate to see it. Oh!
Happy. Great position, ringing some shots in Sunsum, trying to get away, but Happy keeping him revealed. There could be a pick-up here. The charge! Looks like they're back in control. The Justice are running out of time. There's 20 seconds left, and Guangzhou grinning from ear to ear, saying you have one more opportunity to try and get point A.
They're going to have Ido staggering himself out. Shu's going to have Nano. You're going to have an EMP. This is looking so good for the Guangzhou charge to take map 2.
Grim tidings for the Justice. Sunsum up to the point. He can only start capturing him when he reveals himself, but it looks like the charge will ready for him anyway. Minefield on the point. Giannis takes a lot of damage for that, and then he gets hacked. There's no way he was going to escape. Rio makes sure of it. Rolling around the point, Sunsum drops back down, but the EMP renders him pretty much useless. Otto has to recall away. He would have been blown up by the minefield if he'd stayed any longer. And Nero has a pulse bomb. He may not have to use it, though, as Happy cleans up Corey, and it's been a sad tale for the Washington Justice on this map. Heading into half-time, it'll be the Guangzhou charge up 2-0.
Nero gets a nano boost. He's trying to go into Sleepy on the backline. Sleepy puts him to sleep. They try and wake him up. He recalls out of getting hit with a pulse bomb. Once he wakes up, he comes back, finishes off 2 players. Guangzhou up 2-0 at the half. We'll see you right after this quick break.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, now connecting 99% of Overwatch League fans. Catch your league on America's network, T-Mobile.
And welcome everybody to halftime here at the Atlanta homestand. Guangzhou Charge going up against the Washington Justice. Sees Guangzhou up 2-0 heading into the half. I'm Mitch Leslie here with Matt Morello. We are your halftime show.
This is the halftime show.
You best be loving it, fam.
The best halftime show you'll ever get.
That's right.
This is just us.
So we got a couple stuff to to show you guys here at halftime. We're going to chat a little bit about the match so far, but I guess what we want to talk about first is actually our T-Mobile MVP checkpoint. If you guys remember last year or last season, we discussed a lot at length. It's a very serious process, or something that we take very seriously, is the voting for our T-Mobile MVP. And July 25th, of course, we will be revealing our top 5 MVP candidates, which will be nominated by the GMs of all 20 of the Overwatch team leagues. So the fans can then vote for one of 5 of those finalists on Twitter. So you use the hashtag OWLMVP and the player's name, or you can use our new voting system on Twitch. The winner will be decided by your votes, not entirely your votes, let's be real, as well as those from media members, coaches, casters, and analysts. And we'll be announcing the winner during the season playoffs at the Blizzard Arena. There's a big deal. It always matters a lot, like crowning history or crowning our MVP. Is something that we take very seriously. So.
Yeah, and I think this year it's probably a little tougher than last year to get like a top 5 and figure out who you want in your top 5 in terms of MVP, because the way the meta has been throughout the season, you've seen a lot of triple tank, a lot of triple support. This is my top 5 right now, though. I got Sinatra, Twilight, Guxue, Mono, and Ding. Sinatra, he's been killing it all season long. No real explanation there. Guxue as well. Real big, player for the Hangzhou Spark. Mono, I feel like, he could have even been in the MVP race last year with how good he was. And Ding, I think the Dragons make the playoffs, really on the back of his power play. But the one I want to deep dive into is Twilight. I think Vancouver Titans are one of the hardest teams to figure out. Like, who is the
carry, the star?
Who is the one who makes this work? And for me, I think at least over the last stage, I was still undecided, but over the last maybe 3 weeks or so, Twilight has really been unreal, on another level in terms of flex support. The plays that he makes are so game-changing, so sick. His transcendences are always on time. When he's playing Ana, he's hitting these fat biotic grenades. And I do feel like Twilight needs to be up there in the conversation. You see the league averages for Ana in Stage 3. He is blowing those out of the water. He is just playing on another level. And you wonder, the support's so good. How do you keep Bumper alive? This graphic right here tells you how they do it.
This is how he gets to play the way that he does. Bumper, that is, of course, for the Vancouver Titans. Tell you what, though, I don't mind that one. You got some good picks in there. I want to talk about my top 5 MVP candidates, EMP candidates.
EMP candidates.
That kind of
These are all EMP candidates.
All right, so Twilight, I've got him in there. Super's in there, absolutely. Guxue, Chokyobin, and Huxel. Super loves EMPs, Matt. He loves, especially when they get used on him. Look, Twilight you already talked about. Super has turned a corner in a huge way as a player. He's grown into an absolute professional, very impressive. Guxue, we knew he was going to be good. We didn't know he'd be as good as he has been. Huxel, in my opinion, the best Brigitte in the league, doing a tough job and just dominating. But Chokyobin is one that I want to take a bit more time to talk about. This guy was a champion over in Contenders Korea on a team called X6 Gaming. Now, a lot of his former teammates have now joined him in the league, but he comes in as a bit of an unknown pick last year. We don't really know what they're expecting from Chokyobin. Nevix was there beforehand. This guy showed up as one of the most impactful divas in the league, and it doesn't always show up on the stats. Sometimes you need the eye check for that. Sometimes you just need to follow the trends. Chokyobin's the kind of player, though, he's not out there looking for glory, but he is always involved. Huge self-destruct kills. Obviously, eating grabs left, right, and center. At one point, he was leading in the league to start with. You can see him up against the league average here. He gets the job done. It's consistency that I really appreciate from this guy. He's not pitchy. The peaks and troughs aren't there. The kind of player that really holds a team together. You've got big personalities. You've got fiery individuals on that team in terms of your Sinatras and your Supers and all the rest. You've got someone like Chokyobin who really just holds it down. Definitely the kind of guy I'd be putting forward at this stage. We'll see how it looks in the rest of the season.
I think it's so hard if you're like a player that's on NYXL or the Shock or the Titans, trying to pick one, because look, your top 5 MVP can't be from one team. That's just favoritism.
But I want to know
from everywhere.
I want to know who yours are. So you can let us know. We can start a conversation about it right here and now. In fact, there's already one going on with hashtag OWLMVP on Twitter. Let us know who you think should be in there. Are we crazy? Am I ridiculous for having Chokyobin as my top pick? Maybe. But come
he's your top pick.
I'll just mute you on Twitter.
He's your top pick.
Well, I care most about that diva role.
Okay.
I think when you look at that role as being the most important, I'm not really looking at raw stats there either. But at least I'm not like Doa and I'm saying that Florida Mayhem are going to win the Overwatch League. He did that. He did that at the start of the season. He's picked it. Check the tape.
I do think, though, like, there is a case where it's like, you know, you have, like, a great player like a Choyobin, right, where he's on the Shock and maybe doesn't get, like, the MVP love that, like, you know, he could get, like, on another team just because there's so many. I mean, we didn't even talk about, like, Violet, right, or, like, Moth, like, how good those players are as well.
But you can't pick all from one team because it's favoritism.
We do have Guangzhou Charge Washington Justice going on, though. So we should talk about a little bit about this series, Ray. The Charge up 2-0.
Yep.
Who's your MVP from either of these teams? I think Corey is clear for me, like the MVP for the Justice. We take a look at some map number 1 highlights here on Nepal.
I mean, Stratus looked really good in that first map.
He did. I mean, he's been playing well. I think they just need to settle on a lineup. Like, they seem to play musical chairs now, the Justice.
It's crazy. The Guangzhou Charge have a lot of sort of highs and lows over these maps. Like, you remember just back Hotbar just now, completely beefing an EMP into no one in particular in a really important fight. Happy's looked amazing on the Widowmaker. Nero's had to play a couple different things. The Roadhog, the Hanzo, the Brigitte even.
I think at this stage in the season, though, for me, like, you got to have, like, a set thing going on. Like, at least, like, the Dynasty, like, they have some kind of rotation, which it seems like...
We just don't know about it. We don't know why.
Yeah, we don't really know with the Justice. Like,
we're actually giving them the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Assuming that they know why.
So this is how this was broken open on point A for the Charge. They made a, you know, it was a really good hold from the Justice. You know, they get them down to a minute on the clock.
This was filthy.
Yeah, I mean, Corey just some filthy Widowmaker stuff all game long, but they're able to use that nano boost onto Nero, and then they switch things up after that, and they're able to get the point. And the Justice not able to capture a point there on Volskaya, so they don't even get a chance to go for point B.
Yeah, and Guangzhou appeared to do better in fights, so they didn't use EMP, actually, which is a syndrome that the Hangzhou Spark also have had in the past.
Yeah, so a little bit earlier in the season, they struggled with it. Like, Godspeed sets are really weird on Sombra. If you, like, looked him up earlier on, like, his EMP efficiency wasn't great, but he, like, had a really high amount of final blows. So he was almost like, you see, it's like almost like an invisible tracer just to kind of go and finish some players off. I think it's just how teams play around the Sombra, and I don't know, like, the Guangzhou Charge. I mean, you have Rio on the Wrecking Ball and then Happy on the Widowmaker, and they're just, like, popping off. Like, you don't really need the EMP like, at that point.
Well, and you mix in the Pharah there as well, and it's always the 1-2 punch between the Pharah and the Widowmaker. Either one of those can get a decent amount of damage. Like, if you connect a Pharah rocket, you set up an instant body shot kill for your Widowmaker. All of a sudden, you know, Corey or Happy doesn't have to think about trying to click heads, just hit the body. The same can be said of the Pharah Tracer duo.
Yeah, you also end up where you have a scenario where you can get those pile drivers up into the Widowmaker headshots, so you can set up a lot of nice combos there.
That's right. We're going to be heading into the game very, very soon, so stick around. And the second half is on the way. Still a chance here for Washington Justice to bring the series back under their control. And we'll see you in just a moment as the game continues.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, now connecting 99% of Overwatch League fans. Catch your league on America's network, T-Mobile.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Atlanta homestand. We just had halftime presented by a couple of very good-looking blokes, but now it's Mitch Leslie and Matt Morello to take you through the rest of this series.
Like, I know those good-looking people.
Yeah, no, I do. I aspire to be like them, especially the tall one, not so much the short one. I mean, Matt, either's probably fine, to be fair. So we discussed a fair bit during the break, our thoughts on MVP picks here. We've obviously got quite a few players to watch already in this series, and if you just joined us, if you love Widowmaker, you're in the right place.
Oh, yeah.
Both of these teams have used it quite liberally. We've seen a lot of Wrecking Ball, a lot of aggressive play. Sombra's been in the mix there. Some EMPs have hit no one in particular, but they're still pretty to look at, so that's also been exciting. And all of this, and you guys are still complaining about the fact that I'm wearing a monocolor shirt. You guys need help. You need help.
Before third map, though, we do have some substitutions that are going to come into play. The Washington Justice kind of just rotating a bunch of things around yet again, so Sansan will come back in. We'll get to them at some point, but I know Sansan will come back in.
Mr. Steal Your Girl back in.
Stratus will come in for Sansan. So Stratus comes in for Sansan. Guido's going to be coming in for Sleepy. And then you... I think that's it.
What's up?
Justice.
Guido, haven't seen...
Yeah, so you get both those players. Oh, no, and Ark comes back in.
Right. Haven't seen a ton of Guido since Sleepy sort of joined the roster here, so you know the Justice might be giving a lot of their players a chance to get out here on the stage and experience that, and also throw out a couple different looks here. This is a building year for them. They've been very clear about that. An Arc for Hyonu subbing back in.
I just wish we had an idea. Like, look, when they bring in Stratus, like I think it's clear that they want to play an extra damage dealer. Like, you bring Sansam in, you want to play the Diva. We can take a look at how the map set has played out thus far. 2-0 for the Guangzhou Charge as we head into Eichenwald.
Eichenwald.
But you know, bringing in Guido now for Sleepy after you trade for Sleepy, and he's played good. Like,
that's very good. I feel like honestly, until we saw the Widowmaker play and like the snipers be such an issue, I was convinced that the backline and the supports are the best part of the Justice. Sleepy and Arc is a pretty deadly combo.
That Quarry and Stratus have been really good together as well.
Yeah. I love it. I mean, they have the pieces, Matt. They do. They're just not getting W's with these individual performances, because that is all they have been.
I think that's really it. I think it's just, it speaks more, I think, to the strength of the talent and the teams in the league overall this year. That, like, the Justice can't really find wins, because no, they do have, like, when you look at their roster, you're not like, oh man, like Otto's Farah is sick, like, you got an awesome Widowmaker play, like, it's just, I think the overall talent level and just everything with the league is leveled up this year in a big way.
Happy looking for picks. Body shot to Otto, that'll be healed up. Again, a headshot would have been enough to get the job done. Nice hold hook combo, and Giannis is in deep trouble. Shield will get hooked in, and he does get body grenaded, but he can just walk away from this. The Justice don't really have a way to safely replenish their Orisa player. Happy now has a lot of space. Corey's gone down, and the Charge is going to roll over the top of them here. This is not looking good, Matt.
Yes, Shu comes out on the Roadhog to kick things off. So you're just playing the solo healing Mercy, as this is kind of something we saw at the end of last year. We saw a lot of flex supports pick up damage dealers.
Become full
Roadhog,
circle,
yeah.
Shu getting shot after shot there into Giannis, who wasn't in a position to be able to give him any attention. And I think Shu was a bit upset with that.
That's way too quick, though. I mean, as you saw in the lower third at the beginning, the Justice have not won this map so far, and their first point defense was not good. So I think Wrecking Ball on defense here is going to be tough. Like, it's not a map that's really designed for that. Like, this is a map that is really good for triple tank, triple support. It's good for Winston Diva. Like, it's not really like a defensive solo Wrecking Ball type of map. Although Wrecking Ball is a very strong hero right now, individually, I just don't know if it's the best option here.
You still have to defy the limitations the map puts on you. Giannis, I mean, he can get around pretty
He can roll
easily.
down. How is he getting up?
That's right. Supercharger thrown down by Rio. Means that Happy will get a boost, whether it's from Chara or from Rio's Bongo. Giannis,
Look, where's he going?
That's the problem. So you drop down, you get hit with every kind of CC. You have no healing because your supports are playing out of your line of sight. What do you do?
You can live for a while. Obviously, Wrecking Ball has better survivability than, let's say, like a Winston with the active shield.
But if you get stunned, you're done.
Later.
Oh, come on, guys. Shu not able to figure it out. Stratus is able to skip away, but that payload's moving awfully fast, Matt. The Justice have offered Zero resistance on this
And
part
now-
of the map. This
now
is
if-
extremely concerning.
If Giannis has to get onto the bridge, how is he getting out? Like, what is the play here? So we'll see how this develops for the Justice.
There's no subtlety about this. They literally watch him as he rolls up. Nero just says, okay, I'm going to jump back. I'm going to let him push in. That had to be a headshot. Okay, Melee will also get the job done there. Corey's able to fight a pick and maybe some signs of life here for the Washington Justice, but it's a little bit too late. The payload already so close to the checkpoint. Corey with 2. He is absolutely carrying right now, but it's going to take more than that. Again, I keep saying, more than individual performances is what this team needs. Corey's still going to try, though, to salvage the situation. He's pressured by Happy on the high ground, and this looks like Bren versus Baby Babe. And you know which one Corey was. That payload, though, gets the checkpoint while Corey was busy.
In the charge, they're going to use some ultimates here. They use a dragon, they just toss it out. They're going to switch off of this. You do not want to play double sniper at the last stage of this map. They will play a triple tank, triple support comp here.
Good example of how the map would dictate your team comp sometimes.
Corey goes over and plays Zarya. Okay, so they'll play Ryan Zarya here. This is good for the Justice. They're also going to have EMP, so this should be a good fight for the Washington Justice.
Who will sit safely in the back corner, but his team will be able to line of sight once they round the corner ahead. So he will need to just reposition. Rio is reluctant to commit for that reason. He needs a lot of healing here if he's trying to trade in the neutral as Reinhardt. Nano boost for Shu might be enough to send him on his merry way, though.
Shu's playing really far. Does not want to get... They know the EMP's here.
Very passive. He's hoping just to give a nano boost to Rio when he gets EMP, presumably, so he can still be effective. Reinhardt will have no shield, but we want to be swinging anyway.
The Justice are playing pretty passive, though. They're allowing, like, some ultimate build-up for the rest of the charge after they switch.
This is what they do. There's the EMP, but she's still able to get the nano boost off. That's the most important part. Rio is hit by it, but he's able to be kept alive here. And here comes Giannis. Yeah, he gets the nano boost now later in the fight. He's going to be healed up. The charge chose not to try and capitalize on that small lead. Here comes the push in. Rio has an Earth Shatter, and Giannis is close to it as well. And we have a game pause here at what you consider will be a somewhat critical juncture in the fight. What's up?
Yeah, and
we were standing here the whole time, don't worry.
I can see down on the stage, it looks like something with, either Rio or Hot Bus, so I'm sure they'll get that situated rather quickly as the Charge are in a really good position to potentially take, complete the whole map. There's, right now, they're right at the final stage. They have a Shatter in position. Looks like I can see the map where you have just Giannis behind the payload, then 2 players off to the right. Don't be surprised when we jump right back into game if you see Rio turn immediately and shatter to his right. There are 2 players lined up right there.
This is when you have pauses like this that are mid-fight, obviously the teams are ready. Normally they don't discuss a lot of things. Normally there's sort of white noise pumped in, but this is not a tactical pause. So these teams are not really going to be discussing strategy here. It's going to be as soon as it comes on pause, it's going to be about who can hit the shield. Now, as we jump back in, bear in mind, Rio has Shatter, Giannis does not, and we're in.
Yeah, let's get in the game, because look, here it is. There's players lined up to the right. Don't be surprised if he tries to just turn.
That shield's out. Oh, the bait with just a little bit of shield left. Nicely done by Giannis there to protect his team. He's low, though, and a biting grenade catches on Aro, so someone's going to need to be able to protect that Brigitte. Giannis gets out of line of sight, but they're eventually going to need to stand on the payload to contest it. Shatter comes in. That's blocked as well. Happy gets 3. He's well charged up, and it's the tanks for the Guangzhou charge that do most of the heavy lifting. They'll get across the line. Shatter or none. Guangzhou still get the result.
The Shatter doesn't get much, but Happy on Zarya comes through. The Graviton Surge is good. They pick up 4 kills, and you see Corey just does not know what else they could have done there. We'll be back with the second half right after this quick break.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
are back entire convolved after the Guangzhou charge get over the line, and the man on your screen, Corey, oh man, he was putting in some serious reps for his team and must be frustrated, and they're not getting the result they're looking for.
Yes, you know, he tries his best on the Widow, but I just think that the Wrecking Ball on defense does not work on a map like this. I just don't think it's designed in that way. It seems like the Justice, they really don't want to play around like Reinhardt-based comps or even Winston, because they feel like their best chance is with damage dealers, and they're probably right. But in some scenarios, you're going to have to switch. You're going to have to play something else.
I mean, we had this whole argument about Houston on this map as well. They want to play damage dealers on defense, and you can see why. Definitely want a bit more
so
of
it
a
can
robust
work.
comp.
It can work. You can play damage dealers on defense.
If what?
Like, okay, you can play like a defensive like Winston Diva and like play on the cart. You can play like snipers up on the top. You can play like a Sombra. You can do some stuff like that. I think playing Wrecking Ball like double sniper against like an Orisa Hog comp, like it's gonna be tough.
Just fragged them forehead. Out of the gates. Here's the Justice and Corey. Ooh. Bit of shots traded early, both Corey and Happy. That's what we like to see.
The charge they'll opt for. But I think the difference with the charge is you see them come out with a Wrecking Ball here on defense, but you kind of know like they're willing to play and switch to like the Reinhardt or the Winston if necessary. So that's one thing I'll be looking at, is that if the Justice are able to break this, take point A, do the charge switch, do they opt to keep running a Wrecking Ball as well?
Stratus, this is, I would say, pretty safe of a position from the start with. He'll use his clock tower to break line of sight. Nero and Stratus we challenge each other on the Faras here. Rio needs to be careful. I don't think he quite knows where Corey is with those shots coming in.
He's trying to line up Shu. Look at Shu in terms of nano guard charge.
Yeah. He's done a lot of healing. Look at the jump here into the back line, though. Looks like Rio found his target, but he got hacked. Somehow they're able to keep Giannis alive. Corey also, and there it is. The air shot. Get him, Skeeter. And now
This
Corey
should unlock the point.
I mean, I don't really think there's much the Charge can do to get back in this one, and the Justice definitely look better offensively. When they're playing defense, they give so much ground, but here, they're bringing that brand of aggression. Rio will get to the point. They'll be able to stall this up a little bit. And a nano boost on top. Interesting decision. He's hanging around for quite some time now. Hotbar emerges from the shadows. Happy gets rid of Arc as well, so no mercy right now. The Charge can get this point, but they have to commit to it fully. Right now, Rio's back in the fight. They've got their main tank here. Nero takes down Corey from the air. Stratus trying to save this, but the Justice, they're out of players. And the Charge are able to get back in off the back of a nano-boosted Rio. That is filthy.
Still have Stratus lingering around here. He's up inside of the building. They have no healers. I think the Justice... I was going to say, I think the Justice may have been able to turn this. This will be a Valkyrie use here as soon as the barrage comes down, so you may be able to get one res. It looks like you're going to go res Hotba because he has EMP.
3 players now after the loss of Happy, but Otto has been taken down. Rio just needs to hold the fort. Nero too. This is unbelievable. The Justice have come so close to capturing, and they let their guard down. Rio's able to get in there, and the rest of the Charge follow.
And they use a lot of ultimates to try and invest the Justice to take the point. Is now they're just left with the Valkyrie and EMPs. No support ult available for the Guangzhou Charge, but you have an EMP, you can use the EMP early, then use that to build up towards some other ults.
There's that EMP connection there. Stratus and Arc both brought down a couple of pegs. Hero to chase on, he catches Stratus with that air shot. He's looking for the finish. Corey eats the barrage. And Hero realizes he might have put himself a little bit out of position there. Almost an attempted resurrect by Chara, but thinks better of it. Besides, he's better off healing the rest of his team. The Justice now going to start throwing themselves at this.
60 seconds remaining.
Only a minute to go. You'll have the nano boost available for the Charge again. They got a good use of it last time to be able to stall the point long enough on defense. Looks like Rio going into the back line with some pressure on Nagito.
Series is on the line here.
Yes.
40 seconds remain in the round. That's 2 ticks of permanent progress for the Washington Justice. Ardo knows he has to hit an EMP, but he got revealed. He's been spotted out. He needs to stay alive and get away to return back under the cover of stealth and hit that EMP. Rio around the rosy, I guess. Drops the minefield, then drops down. Hit with a biotic grenade, but not too bothered by it. He had the adaptive shielding. Stratus and Nato finding 2 important kills, and now this gets a little bit dicey for the Guangzhou Charge, but still, they're able to find Corey. He actually walks straight into the minefield. Happy playing very safe off the point for the time being, and the Charge are just biding their time. Wait for reinforcements to come back in. The Justice are capping, but there are current players. Guido jumps down. Oh my lord, Arc and Ardo get it done.
What a hold.
I mean, you've got to be upset there if you're the Washington Justice, Matt. Arc and Ardo thought they were able to home and hose their way through. Happy plays off the point, passive Widowmaker positioning, waits for reinforcements. What ridiculousness here in Atlanta.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, now connecting 99% of Overwatch League fans. Catch your league on America's network, T-Mobile.
The series hung in the balance there on Eichenwald, and the Justice, they had a chance to stay in it. Their first offense on towards point A of Eichenwald looked pretty good, and it looked like they had it wrapped up until Rio appeared on less than 100 health, given a nano boost by Shu. Gave enough time for the rest of the charge to come back in. That may go down as one of the most ridiculous flips in point defense history.
I mean, the Justice, they had a lot of opportunities. They squander all of them, and they're not able to take the point. I think it's almost like this series, you can kind of really look back on if you're the Justice and like, this is kind of how our year has gone. Like, we play really good, but like not good enough. We always kind of fall. Like when we need to make a play, when we need to coordinate well, when we have an advantage, something always kind of goes away. And it's got to be tough for the players to constantly go through that.
We talk about the Justice, one of the biggest conversation points is their individuals and the performances that those individuals put out. We're talking about players like Corey pulling out those 3K runs. Stratus looked very good on the Pharah here, but was up against a formidable foe in Nero, who ended the map with 14 final blows and 3 deaths. Just complete dominance, especially for a Pharah player who quite often is setting up low health targets so that Happy or another, even Rio, Hotbar can finish them off. He's taken responsibility, comes out with 23% of his team's kills, but the Justice here, Strata's still enjoying himself, thankfully, but...
Hey, man, I'm happy that they're having fun. Like, I've seen a lot of the players here at the homestand. They've just been having a great time. Like, just seeing, like, all the fans, people showing up in their jerseys. I was walking through the crowd the other day, and I saw a whole lineup of people with Stratus jerseys. Like, a whole row of people. I was like, man, it's crazy. Like, everybody's, like, coming out, showing love. It's got to be awesome for the players as well to travel and... Because then you play and you see like you know how many people are watching like at home, but then I think like to see it in person like makes it way more real. So it's kind of cool. Everybody's having a great time.
It's definitely a reminder for them that they're playing in a global league and they're representing a heck of a lot of people.
I mean, we had a ton of Shanghai fans here today. Yep. Like a ton. Like it was wild. We do have some subs here for map 4 coming in. Sleepy, get him back in for Guido. So Sleepy's been good for the Justice. They just kind of took him out for a few maps. So, and then we have some subs for the Guangzhou Charge. So Only Wish will come in for Chara. So you make a change here at main support. And we're going to have another change here for the Guangzhou Charge as well. Looks like we're going to be setting up Rise here on the stage. So a substitution in terms of support line here for the Guangzhou Charge.
Yeah, Only Wish, a really interesting pickup. He actually came up from the Guangzhou Academy team, as has Rise, if I'm not mistaken here. So I think LGD Gaming was where Only Wish hails from. So we're talking about like deep in sort of the Chinese tier 2 scene a lot of these individuals are coming from. Great to see him get a chance on stage, but here's your head-to-head between Stratus and Nero.
Yeah, and this is on Farah, on Eichenwald, so Nero a little bit more damage. The final blows in favor of Nero. Same with a limb, same amount of deaths. He played a little bit more, but I think, you know, you see the good Farah numbers from the Farah that ended up winning, right? As that's going to be kind of the story
I mentioned
here.
that Stratus looked good, but, I mean, not...
He's looked good on the whole series. I mean, not in the head-to-head there. I do think, what do you think that, you know, you're here in Atlanta and like you have like the homestand, the final map will be Gibraltar. What's your opinion on like just trying out new players? Like I think one of the things that if I was like a team, let's say, and I'm like either, you know, like a coach for Guangzhou or the Washington Justice, I want to throw some of my players into this environment to see how they deal with it.
Well, Rise,
Like-
I mean, like Rise is a really interesting player as well. Like, I'm glad to get to see these guys. You guys might know a player by the name of 1J Lee. He played on Metabellum, actually, and was also in the academy team of the Charge here. So, I mean, this is a great opportunity to get these players out there, get their faces out there, give them this stage experience that, you know, especially in the case of Only Wish and Rise, they just haven't had yet. I mean, it's a big step up, considering that they didn't really get many games in or any games in at the Blizzard Arena, but what a great opportunity. You've won this series, your team's flying high. I do have memories, though, of the Valiant throwing in their sort of their bench and their B squad against the Dragons are getting ruined on this.
But you need to like play in front of a crowd is way different. I mean, you've experienced it during the talent takedown in like some in some
3 times, bro. Yeah.
Our capacity. I mean, I played at a lot of tournaments in the past, and it's just like you cannot replicate like whether you know it like between like an arena like this or like you know from the Blizzard
Matt,
arena.
forgetting my storied Call of Duty career, of course.
It's a yeah. I always forget about that.
The Guangzhou Charge will start on the attacking side. Double sniper seems to be the play with the Orisa here. So both teams will go there. I mean, the Holtz is definitely something to look out for because they're not using it to set up a Roadhog pick so much as for Happy and Nero to find headshots off them. Yeah, I'd think twice about that too.
Otto knew, man. He's like, I am not risking that. Like,
yeah, Academy players getting their shot. Well, but bearing in mind as well, one of the...
they're up 3-0. Throw him in. I mean, why not?
I mean, Cuddles on their coaching staff also come up from managing their academy team.
Yeah.
Nero came from the academy team. So Guangzhou have got a really nice pipeline between sort of the incubation team and this one. And Happy and Hotbar looking good to start.
And I like how teams have started to do that. Like, I think some teams, they've had, like, contenders teams. And they've like participated in contenders. Like maybe they find a player or two. I think a lot of teams now are just looking at it as like an overall farm system. Like if you're like, you know, Guangzhou Charge Academy, right, bringing 3 players up, or let's say, you know, you have like Philly Fusion, their academy team really strong now, playing in green contenders. Like you keep those teams together to eventually bring them up, right? So I really love how we're starting to see more players from contenders being incorporated here. Guangzhou, they take the first point. Nothing really happened outside of taking the first point. Nobody even really builds up to ultimates in any of these fights. They're not even that long.
Yeah, we dropped into a bit of discussion for those last couple of fights, ladies and gentlemen. Just there was a lot of fights that were decided on picks. I mean, I can play-by-play those fights if you really want me to, but and you can see it as easy as we can. They start and end with just one of these Widow shots.
Oh, I thought you were going to say they'd rather have me play-by-play.
Actually, do you want to swap for
the excitement, you know, for the... Yeah. They always complain you don't bring the hype, that I'm the hype man here.
One thing I say about you, Matt, is that it's very hard to keep your emotions down.
Yeah.
Got them out there for everyone to see.
Everybody always knows my hype.
You want to play-by-play this?
Nah, you got it. Good job.
Happy down. Corey's managed to find the headshot. Everyone's playing inside the shuttle, but Justice aren't going to the moon so much as they're just blasting off again. Able to fight back in with a couple more picks, but this is very strange. The payload is not moving right now, so Rio was there, but that EMP is going to force him back for the time being. Corey needs to clear the high ground, and well, Nero catches him on the way up. A lot of 1v1s are happening in disparate intervals across the map.
Stratus with a few kills here, so the Justice do stabilize. But really, I mean, this is the first time the payload has stopped. Like, the payload has been in a constant move up until this point of the map. So now the Charge, they'll make a little bit of an adjustment. They'll bring a Winston in play, so you can now dive onto these snipers on the high ground. This allows you to buy some more space for Happy to play a little bit more on his own and then not have to worry as much for the opposing sniper.
It means the Charge are thinking less about playing on the payload now. They're going to want to spread out, split up, and work around the enemy Orisa's shield. That's a Dragon Strike. That one was fired off by Nero. That will clear the high ground. It's just to let Happy sit up there now and put pressure on Giannis, because from multiple sides, Giannis is, I mean, you don't want to be there as Orisa at all. Terrible positioning, but Corey's able to chime in and find a kill. The overhead goes hotbar, trying to pressure these snipers down as per usual. This Resurrect can't be interrupted, even with the hack attempt there. Rise is brought back into the fight. The Justice, though, feeling pretty good. And Giannis still sat in that precarious position.
Yeah, I don't really, I kind of think the positioning is okay, because I think what he can do here, right, is you sit up on that bridge, you know, the cart's right underneath, they can't really kind of move up there, the damage spam from Orisa is pretty good. And then, like, if they try and come up the backside, you can just, you don't have to even redeploy another shield, you can just play the opposite side of the shield, right? So I think that's kind of the idea here for Giannis.
Yeah, maybe mistell from me. I actually thought there was a charge play that was inside the stair room behind him. I thought he was going to be pinched, but Corey actually was able to hold it.
I thought you would know as an Orisa main. You know,
I only do that because no one else would do it. I don't want to argue with people. It's just
your flat Orisa strats.
Diamond. I don't want to have I argue with Brent because he thinks he's such a Chad. He's really just a little weasel. I just can't be bothered having to impose my will on him every time we play the game. It's just exhausting. Rio over the top.
Now they got Giannis on the move. Now they got him off the bridge.
Yeah.
So this is good for the charge. Now you start to see the payload move.
Happy to the shuttle. And he'll look over the backside of it here. I mean, the payload is getting close now. They're able to move it past this critical checkpoint. Happy finds Dark Metals, Hodper's self-destruct kill on Sleeper that really made the difference. Rise! He's able to find Ardo there. The Justice threw a line that fight. You'd have to think they're switching comps here.
I mean, you know, Rise gets hit with that EMP, he loses his shield. Totally wish right there immediately tied onto him on the Mercy, able to keep him up. So the charge continued to move the payload. Got stalled out there for a little bit. The Justice started to put together some fights on defense, but now with the cart moving again, we'll see the changes that'll come through for the Justice. Looks like Arc gonna go over, play some Mercy now.
Yeah, a lot of those ultimates blown at the end of the fight. Nero, I mean, if he can control this bridge, get over the top, it's going to be huge for the charge. It's going to force the Justice back a lot. A Hanzo on an enemy team position on that bridge means the Justice can't hold on the corner anymore. And Giannis becomes much more endangered.
You can also get a good Dragon Strike here down like the middle, right? You can split them off, then use Primal Rage if you wanted. Here is the Dragon.
I mean, the Justice has already given so much space. Giannis is split off on the rest of his team, but they're not going for him right now. They're trying to get the Corey and Stratus in the back. But there's plenty of healing being given there. Corey just getting topped up every single time. And now the charge have lost their healer. They finally get rid of Giannis. They finally decide to pay him attention instead of the snipers. But a big sleep on the Rio leaves him stranded on top of the high ground. And Ardo's Dragon Strike is ate up by Hotbar.
Somehow they're able to keep Corey alive in the back. So we're going to have Arc on the Wrecking Ball here coming in, trying to keep this one alive for the Justice.
It looks like it may have worked. A minute 45 on the clock for the charge, so they still have a bit of time left, but the Justice were able to cut a lot of this down in the second phase of the map.
I don't think we'll see the Arc Wrecking Ball for long, because he's going to go back and change, but
I mean, you don't fancy this matchup if you're Nero, but yeah, Stratus is going to need help.
So they finish him off. Arc goes back to Mercy. Nice shot there from Corey. So you'll have an Orisa composition now for the Guangzhou charge, so they want to get into the shield war here. No teams, the Roadhog. A little bit of shield pressure advantage for the charge as they have the Zen over the Brig. And now you're going to have Stratus play Roadhog. So now the advantage goes back to the Justice. Roadhog is great for breaking these shields.
The charge going to try and pick him off, but they don't actually have an Ana, so no biotic grenades.
Yeah.
A little bit tricky to deal with that. I wonder if we see a quick switch now that the charge have gained that information. That whole pull rise in.
It's too late, though, for them to make a change to like 3-3.
I don't even think 3-3 necessarily looks great here anyway.
No.
Just because the high ground is so good for the Justice right now, and Ardo has a Dragon Strike, he can force positioning. I think they win the fight based on that alone.
This is where if you're Guangzhou, you would have loved to have play like a Sombra comp, like something where you have Sombra in the mix. You can't play Sombra and Orisa because then you start losing the shield war. You worry about playing the Wrecking Ball with the Sombra because they have the Hog and the Orisa in place. So it's a very difficult spot for the Guangzhou charge to be in.
Here's that Dragon Strike. Nero caught up in that one, could not get away. Biotic grenade thrown on towards Rio, but it's a trade. Two snipers down, one on each team. The Resurrected have to be forthcoming here. For the charge, need to build up a little bit of momentum, and that seems to have been what they've done. There's too many targets now for the Justice to resurrect, so they need to turtle up and wait for reinforcements. interestingly enough, Otto, we're playing off to the side. It's a nano boost there, given out by Sleepy. Stratus has to try and bring back this deficit. Getting Rise is good, but he needs more. He needs to pressure this shield down with the extra damage from the nano boost. But Happy gets 2. Corey, Stratus being his second. And now a supercharger thrown down. There's a lot of damage boost here, and it's going to be tough for the Justice to stand up against all of this extra damage. And a very, very confident, buoyant Guangzhou charge.
You know, when we see a recent play, we always talk about, you know, Fortify, how great her shield is, the amount of damage.
So
one of the things we overlook.
4 legs are better than 2.
4 legs, I guess. Yeah, I guess so. Is the supercharger. Like, her ultimate has one of the highest ultimates used in teamfight win rates.
Yeah, it's one of the most winningest ultimates.
Yes, it is one of the most winningest ultimates, and you kind of like are like, oh, supercharger. But when you think about it, it's like, well, it is a damage boost to everybody, and you put it behind the shield. They have no option but to charge at you to try and break the bongo. It's a really strong ultimate. They use at the end. Happy's able to pick up like 2 or 3 kills, the Widowmaker off of it.
It also adds a theoretical 7th player to your team, because quite often it's a priority to get rid of that supercharger, especially because you have snipers that can get insta kills without getting headshots.
Like Hanzo and Widowmaker with the damage boost.
Exactly. And that's why people used to complain a lot and say, you know, Mercy pocketing a Widow is so nasty because the damage boosted headshot is pretty much going to kill me. Here's a replay of how this went down. Happy getting a couple real quick kills to end it. Once you're in this position, Mac, you just feel unstoppable.
That is nuts, dude.
Headshot. Infrasight. Didn't even need the Infrasight, let's be honest. They knew where they were going to come from. Only one of 2 possible routes.
His Widow has been crazy all day. Dude, I mean, we talked about it in the pregame. Like, he went head-to-head with DM yesterday and was like owning. And like today, he
dominated. We saw what DM did in the previous match against Philadelphia. So,
and like Carpe is one of the best Widows that we had in the league last year. Corey's been sick this year.
I think that young blood though is hungrier than Carpe is. He's got a bit of catching up to do now.
Oh, I mean, just all the new players in the league have really shown out this year. A little Symmetra play, maybe get teleporter to the high ground, just backs the charge up. That's all it really does.
Just buys the positioning. Here's the dive from Rio. Charge want to play Winston-based defense here. Ooh, Otto.
He was hacked.
Yeah. At the end of the day, you want more than a 1-for-1 Doomfist, but the Resurrect there essentially makes that worthwhile. Corey just smashes Happy on the high ground.
And Doom in the Sombra is always like tough. I think Doom is really just like a great disruptor hero.
Sure.
I think you can play him against it, but you know when he gets hacked or EMP, there is nothing he can do. I mean, his gun, like his wrist cannon, like it doesn't do like a ton of damage.
It looks cool though.
You have no mobility, like you don't have the one-shot kill potential, and right now
interrupted. If you drop your combo, you're in trouble. Just like this. See, how does Otto get away from this? Oh, I like this though, the spamming the doorway, but Happy peeks out and gets a headshot. He's punished for it. Great work from Stratus to at least secure a trade with his sleeping teammate, and he can now zone off enemy players from this high ground just by being here.
And the only reason this has not been taken yet is Hoppa has been on the point. They get Rio on the point. That's going to be 2 kills. Go in favor of the charge.
Surely not. Stratus still an issue for them on the high ground. He's going to duck back to try and make his influence felt elsewhere in the fight. He's so low on health. He still gets rid of Nero, and in the barrage attempt, it doesn't quite work out the way he would have liked. Happy is now returned. Happy has definitely made his presence felt.
I'm with you.
He is nuts.
Getting everything, all the best parts of last year's Overwatch League and the best parts of this year's are just being put into one in the last couple of weeks.
He's got a 30% scoped crit hit accuracy right now. Like, little cheeky.
Yep, so that means the 30% of those hits are crits, and most of the time they're going to be kills against you know, targets with 200 or less health.
Fun in playing fair.
My gosh. The Guangzhou charge, I mean, they look like they've solidified now. And bear in mind, they are playing now a Wrecking Ball. They started with Rio and the Winston, which they traded out because of the Doomfist, right? The Doomfist is kind of scary for Winston to dive into. It's like a Junkrat. You don't want to get caught by that. Rise down, though. Can Hopper get a second here and try and even things up? That EMP is still going to really cause problems.
Happy picks off Otto. Corey takes out Rio. It's a battle of the Widowmakers now.
This is how we teased it. This is exactly the way we drew it up. Close range. Hero finds the shot, but Rio's been brought back to life, and that's more important right now than the Widow battles. But Stratus wants to descend on the payload. He's caught by the EMP, but he's still going to be able to do a lot of damage. Still got caught, though, by Rio. Sleepy trying to heal up his team, but Rio's running right on the point, and the Justice have already backed off. They've had to give up positioning because of that Dragon Strike and Rio being nanoed. You've got to come back in. I mean, they probably need to deal with the support system.
Ark's alone.
No, he's going to be able to get away. Rio now needs to return. He took a face full of damage. Hotbar is just going to keep the payload contested. He doesn't want to stand out in the open here.
No ultimates for either team. Everybody just chugging ultimates out left and right. I mean,
Infra popped by both.
they got to contest.
Nero brought back, so the Chargers still at 6 players before he finds Hotbar. No EMP available anyway for Hotbar. He's a ways away from that. Rio in trouble. Corey, crucial body shot. And the Justice get across the line. That was looking very dicey for them. And now Corey's starting to stretch his legs a little bit, limbering up as we head in the shuttle phase.
This is really where Widowmaker shine. Just like the positioning on top of the shuttle, you can do a lot of work. And if you get Corey in a good position, you're able to put him in a spot to succeed. You see right here, Giannis going to get to the high ground. Just trying to pressure Rio down as he cannot let that wrecking ball get onto the sniper.
My EMP is charging.
Keep an eye on that payload here, because while all the action's happening, there will be support players just trying to move that along. Corey, his hack, still can do a lot of damage in there, but couldn't repel away. He was already on the highest ground possible, so the hack actually didn't make a difference. He catches only which as he comes across, but every time Corey or anyone from the Justice gets a kill, it's one of the Guangzhou snipers that chime in themselves. Keep an eye on the Dragon Strike here from Nero. If the Justice overcommit to their next fight, they could get caught out by it. Nero, it's preemptive. This is just to give the charge some space. But the nano boost goes off. Sleepy really trying to send Giannis in here, but there's no follow-up. There's no support for Giannis. He's just forced away. And that Dragon Strike covers one of the side doors, but everyone from the Chargers on the right side instead.
You do have Rio on the point here, and the Valkyrie pop for the charge, so they should be able to get enough healing to stand pat. It's an EMP that comes down. The minefield lands as well. He gets slept, but the minefield does go off. You're going to get a res here on Rio. Happy with the kill on the Stratus, and that's going to be the EMP that comes in from Hotba. It connects with Otto.
They still got the checkpoint.
Oh, but they get it. They get off.
Rio had a minefield out there, by the way. That's egregious from the charge. They cannot let that kind of thing happen. Corey was forced to look on in dismay. That was likely set up there by a Sonic Arrow. But Corey was forced to look on in dismay. It was just Giannis on the payload. It looked like the charge were completely well positioned to retake.
Now the Justice in a good spot. Set a really good time.
Bizarre. I mean, the time extensions on this map are quite generous.
Yeah.
As we see on a pure payload map.
It's a tough one to make it around the corner into the end.
The Rio now on the Orisa here. Justice wants high ground. Nero's been forced off, though. He probably needs to try and regain that at some point. He's able to get rid of Rio who's in his face, and because Rio goes deep, there's no chance the Justice can resurrect it.
Nice sleep.
What's the setup going to be? Corey
got him, yeah.
Hotbar as well, okay. There's an opening here. Corey's just going absolutely mental. Nero's able to shut him down. We are being completely spoiled by high-octane sniper kills in this game. Nero will just try and play around this Orisa barrier as much as possible. That's going to pop, though, and he needs to be ready for that. Oh, the whole setup was perfect. Nero goes to the Storm Arrow. High rate of fire was enough to get Adu, who had no choice but to get caught up in that one. Arc brings it back, and Only Wish has gone down. Giannis chases the mercy of the charge off the map, essentially. But Nero has to get behind enemy lines here. He's trying to keep them busy, but Stratus gets straight away into him with that headshot.
Rio's able to contest from this corner, though, behind the shield, so they're going to have to figure out a way to pressure him out enough. You don't have the minefield, you use it to just get the car rolling in the last fight.
1 minute 30 left here. Corey needs to kick it up a notch. There it is! Happy's down, no chance to resurrect that. It's too dangerous. Rio puts up a shield and hopes that Only Wish can go for the red. Corey knows this is going to happen. Only Wish gets away with it, but Happy now has a chance of getting his revenge. The crouch, the Widowmaker head-to-head. It's intense. Corey now just trying to be careful. He's trying to make use of his infra sight. He knew Happy was pushing the high ground. Now they're head-to-head. That's the shot! Happy gets rid of Corey, and the Charge have a chance to turn this one right back around. Happy looking for Sleepy in the back line, but Sleepy is a sniper as well. Just not as hard hitting. He finally goes down to Rise, and the Charge have a chance to take a breath, but just for now. 50 seconds left in the round.
So you have a Dragon Strike available for the Charge. Split players off. Otto is going to have EMP. It's got to be a good EMP. He's got to connect with Only Wish with the Valkyrie. If he does not get hit by this, you're able to just heal everybody on through it. The only thing that would save the Justice then is a really nice biotic grenade there from Sleepy.
Poison Mine on Otto. He had to translocate out. That's going to cost a little bit of time here. Make it harder for him to set up. Maybe he'll have to go for a less than optimal EMP. Hack on a Giannis here, no shield available. Dragon Strike. Oh, that's so cheeky! Are you kidding me? The positioning was just perfect. Sleepy and Giannis had taken down. It was combined, of course, with the hold. There's no way the Justice could have been ready for that. That would have got sprung on them. And although Corey's able to find a kill here on Happy, eventually gets shut down by none other than Only Wish. The resurrect on the Happy. And the Guangzhou Charge have everything that they need now to finish the job. Happy will return to the rest of his team. Oh man, Rio down to Stratus though. Comes back in on the Hanzo to make the change. Happy doesn't really seem too bothered though. He does have that shield to work around. He spots his opposite number on Nero, both supports. Stratus in trouble now though. No one to help him. Nano boosted Widowmaker. Happy just going for SMG, Fire and Rise finds the finish. That will do it. One of the most intense games I've seen in quite some time, and it shows on the face of the Guangzhou Charge as well. They are feeling it. Stressful. All of those fights hinging on who's getting the most picks on the Widowmakers. New players brought onto the stage for the Guangzhou Charge, getting a chance to shine, and shine they did.
And, you know, I look at the stat screen, and I'm like, oh man, Happy popped off. 31 a limb, 17 final blows. They look at Nero, 35 a limbs, 18 final blows. Sick game from both those snipers. And then over the Justice, Corey with 21 final blows here for the Justice on Gibraltar in a loss. I think
27% of their damage done.
He's been so good for this team. As you know, this performance, a lot like the Houston one, it won't get recognized because it's not a win, but he's been playing some insane Widowmaker. Keep an eye on Corey.
I mean, I'm feeling the heat up here. We're jumping back. Every time we thought we've seen the sickest Widow play of a match, there's another one that looks even better. And we called it when we came in. We said Corey versus Happy. And we even got to see that the Hanzo play as well. Nero looking very, very good on that pick there. A great compliment. And now we see, you know, Guangzhou Charge emerging with an excellent double sniper composition, one that can test some of the top teams in the league.
This team has talent. Like, if a lot of teams start playing the double sniper meta, which we've seen, like, you know, double sniper with the wrecking ball, maybe a foreign play, the Guangzhou Charge have the pieces to be one of the better teams in a meta like that in the league. This is a team that could be on the rise in stage 4.
Only Wish, former teammate of Eileen, gets to come in, play the main support role. Ryers comes out with 27 eliminations, 10 final blows. Looks really good in the final moments there on that Ana pick. Now we're starting to see that extra bit of depth the Guangzhou Charge have. Bear in mind, of course, Nero comes in this season, or this stage, sorry, as a new player. Kib sat on the bench, Eileen's there on the Doomfist. Now we know the Charge have a lot to work with. It's the Justice that have gone with plenty of new faces of their own. We've said it multiple times. If those individual performances are not tied in with the rest of your team working together, then they're not going to account for much. 27 final blows, 21 for Corey.
Yeah. I mean, we saw a lot of new players, not new players, but a lot of different looks from the Justice today. We saw some maps with Stratus, some with Sansan. We saw Guido come in. I just think they need, I think the team that they rolled out here at the end, you know, with Stratus, Giannis, Corey, Sleepy, I think this is the lineup they should run. I think this is their best look.
And of course, as I mean, coming into this weekend, I saw this match, you know, we're casting Guangzhou, Washington. I thought, this could be rough. You know, this might not exactly be the most exciting game, but we've seen how this weekend's played out. Teams are opting to go more aggressive and play more of these sniper-focused compositions on the stage, and all of a sudden it went from one of the most daunting matches to one of the most exciting.
Yeah, I mean, look, when you have the snipers on play on the stage and the crowd's going nuts, it gives the players a ton of energy. They come out, try to hit some ridiculous shots.
You got to be happy with that one, no doubt about it. And we definitely want to hear a little bit from the Guangzhou Charge about how they feel about this match, and get a couple insights from them, especially on the new players coming in here, because another example of a team who's definitely building for the future, but still has a chance at playoffs in this year. Let's head to the stage with Danny and an interview.
Thanks, guys. I am standing right next to Happy from Guangzhou Charge. Guys, Atlanta, Happy just told me that he's really nervous for this interview, so yes, give it up. Make some noise. More. Happy. Are you feeling less nervous now? 좀 이제 긴장 좀 덜 해졌나요?
네?
좀 긴장 덜 되나요 이제?
더 됩니다.
Okay, that really didn't help. Happy said he's more nervous now after hearing you guys. But anyways, congratulations on your victory. And although the Guangzhou Charge isn't going to be in the Stage 3 playoffs, you guys are ending the stage on a high note with 2 great victories here in Atlanta. So, Happy, you have now time to actually enjoy the break. What are you going to do during the break? 자, 이제 한 2주 정도의 휴식 기간이 이제 있잖아요. 또 이번 스테이지 아쉽게도 프로분 진출은 안 됐지만은 또 그래도 좋은 2 승리를 안고 휴식 기간을 갖게 되실 텐데 어떻게 휴식 기간을 즐길 생각이신가요?
이제 시간이 되면은 라스베가스 한번 놀러 가보고 싶고 그거를 제외하고는 그냥 집에만 있을 것 같아요.
Alrighty, so if I do have time, I really want to go visit Las Vegas. If not Las Vegas, I'll probably just stay home. Are you gonna practice at all? 혹시 연습은 안 할 건가요?
연습 당연히 해야죠. 저는 다른 게임도 안 해가지고 어차피 오버워치만 해야 돼요.
Yes, of course, I am going to practice. I actually don't play any games other than Overwatch, so I will be practicing and I will be just staying home or go to Las Vegas. All right, and also, this was your first ever homestand here in Atlanta. I mean, just personally, was there a favorite thing about Atlanta homestand for you? 아무래도 아틀란타 홈스탠이 또 처음이기도 하고 또 광저우 팀에서도 처음 홈스탠이잖아요. 좀 아틀란타로 와서 좀 제일 즐거웠던 거, 제일 좀 기억에 남는 게 있다면?
일단은 날씨가 너무 습해가지고 한국이랑 비슷한 것 같아서 정이 많이 가고요. 그리고 여기 치즈 케이크 정말 맛있었어요.
Alrighty, so Atlanta is really known for humidity, so it's kind of like Korea, so it brings me back memories of my motherland, so that was really good. And also, the cheesecake here is surprisingly really good, so I love that as well. Ooh! Well, Happy, thank you so much. Good luck in Stage 4. We will see you guys in Stage 4. Enjoy your break. Casters, back to you guys.
Whoa. Cheesecake? Where's that at? I haven't seen any cheesecake here yet.
I gotta go to the catering that Happy's going to.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well,
I saw it.
That's another one for the bucket list here in Atlanta, but we're running out of time. Let's talk about our player of the match, brought to you by Omen by HP. I wonder. Can you guess? It's definitely going to Happy. I mean, the performance that he put out is difficult to replicate. He and Nero in the last match, I would say, definitely were even over the course of Final Blows. I think Nero actually had one more than him, but you want to look at the whole series, man, Happy's just been out of his mind.
Just filthy stuff. I mean, and I think the thing that separated these two teams throughout this series was that when the Widowmaker didn't really work for the charge, or in situations where they didn't play the Widowmaker, they were the first team to switch and make the adjustments. We saw them switch over to the Zarya, do some nice stuff there, but on Widowmaker in this series, pretty nuts. 34 Final Blows. Only 19 deaths throughout the series on Widowmaker. It's a pretty nuts series.
I'd love to, we'll go back and we'll see what the split was head-to-head with the Widows.
He has 10 deaths on Widow on Gibraltar.
Yep.
So he's only got 9 deaths through the first 3 maps on the Widowmaker. Pretty nuts stuff.
At some points, his scope critical hit accuracy was up to 30% plus, which is an astonishingly high number. Not easy to get. It means that obviously, of the hits you're getting, that percentage is critical, and like we said before, for Widowmaker, that normally results in a kill against targets that aren't tanks, and we don't have as many tanks here. What a match, Matt. That was pretty ridiculous stuff. Coming up next,
El Clasico.
It is a whole thing. It is, my production's in my ear, thinking I forgot. No, I know what it is. It's going to be a 1v1 on the Torbjorn. Mangachu v Defran. A lot on the line in this.
You thought Widowmaker 1v1 took skill. You are going to be amazed by what's going to happen here with the Torbjorn Hammer 1v1.
Yeah. Stick around, fam. That's all going to be happening after the break here on Twitch. It's been a pleasure, Mitch Leslie and Matt Murillo, to bring you some of the action from inside the arena here in Atlanta. We'll see you guys later for the Tor 1v1.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Toyota, official North American partner of the Overwatch League. Toyota, let's go places.
What's up, dude? Remember when we used to carpool to LAN parties?
Dude, we've come so far.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for some Overwatch.